your health for dropping fat or getting rid of brain fog and all these sorts of things. Well, it very well could be. I'm Ollie Matthews, a healer working as a health and wellness coach for high achieving entrepreneurs to take you from the brink of burning out to true peak performance using functional medicine, nutrition therapy, lifestyle coaching, mindset, and training methods. Because we want to make sure you're not overwhelmed and can simply move your body forward in this busy world that we live in. Now, one of the things stopping us doing that is the air quality around us. Now, not just the air quality, but the things we eat our food in, the cutlery we use, the containers that we have our drinks in, the things we put in our skin. These all have different things called toxins and all have varying levels. And there's no way of getting completely away from toxins. So this isn't a scaremongering to say you have to get away from toxins, but it's very much something which we should be aware of. Now, there's a study that has shown on muscle tissue of a baby, a newborn baby, has already had toxins absorbed into their body, into their muscle tissue, into their fat tissue, which is quite a worrying thing when we think that this baby hasn't had any external exposure to the actual worldwide that we live in, or wide world that we live in, by the time it's born. So on that very first moment, it already has toxins in there. Now, we're not going to get away from them, as I said. But what are these toxins? Now, if you look at the air quality, there's going to be pollution when it comes to diesel fumes and fumes that are coming from cars, fumes that are getting expelled from buildings that are going through waste processes. If we look at where I live in Norfolk, it's one of the most prominent farming counties in the UK. The air quality is really, really bad. Then you go deeper into cities and you get even more pollution and all these things that add up. Not just that, we also have things like mold exposure, or we have fumes from the food that we eat. When we cook the food, potentially if we're burning it and things like that, we have like carcinogens, as we call them. Now, there are also many, many more things. Like one of the big things that people do is when they have a coffee and they drink through that plastic cup, if you are very reactive and you have quite a high toxic load, shall we say, on our actual body, this is toxins that are already stored in fat cells, and you struggle with fat loss, you probably want to just take that cup off the coffee. Don't drink from plastic bottles and so on. May sound extreme, but if you are struggling with your health, this is definitely something which is going to impact you. Now, how do these toxins actually impact our body? Well, the first thing that we're going to look at, especially when it comes to fat loss, is the thyroid gland. Now, your thyroid is basically the metabolic gland, the hormone that when it's functioning properly, it's going to be responsible for energy all around the body and the metabolism, the metabolic side of things in your cells. And it has to release the certain amounts of different hormones, thyroid hormones, and interact with different areas. We're not getting into the deep science of it, but it has to be able to convert T4 into T3, active thyroid hormone, and utilize it. And in order to do that, a thing called your hypothalamus has to signal to your pituitary to release thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH. Now, toxins have been shown to reduce your pituitary's ability to release this TSH, which is one of the first things that we have a problem with. Not only that, toxins have been shown that they will decrease the inactive T4 conversion to T3. Hence why so many people that have certain medications for the thyroid don't see improvements. And most people that are having thyroid issues, it's nothing to do with the thyroid gland itself. It's actually the signaling beforehand and loads of other things that are going on. So we attack that thyroid gland and we don't see improvements. Then also toxins will damage the receptors of the thyroid gland, and it's also shown to increase excretion of thyroid hormone. Basically meaning that we are getting rid of this thyroid hormone before we've actually had the ability to convert it and utilize it. Another thing that toxins are going to impact, your sex hormones, things like testosterone and estrogen. Now, toxins have been shown to be endocrine disruptors, which means they do actually act on these hormones. And we see a high impact of an estrogen-like effect on the body, especially in men, more testosterone-like effect on women. We'll see more PCOS. We'll see lower testosterone levels in men. We see many, many signs that fertility is dropping, that puberty ages is getting lower and lower. All these can massively be related to the toxins that we are exposed to in our day-to-day life. Not just the toxins in the air, as I said, the toxins that we drink, the cleaning products that we use, the fire retardants that are on furniture. We have things like deodorants that we use, face creams, all these things that we're putting so many chemicals on and around our body. We just need to be aware of these and what we can do to improve that. It's also been shown to be what we call neurotoxic, which means these toxins are acting on your nervous system and neurologically with your brain. Now, your brain and nervous system are basically the things that dictate the health of your body, the health of your internal organs, your liver, your kidneys, your gastrointestinal system. And these toxins are impacting that. So then what happens is that we get poor brain function, more brain fog, migraines, less ability to sleep effectively, and all these different things. And then as a result, we get more cravings and we struggle to drop weight as effectively because our body is just burning less and less. Then it has another reaction on leptin. Now, leptin is a thing which tells your body, it's released and tells your brain that you're full. So when you're eating and you get to a point where you are essentially full within your stomach, leptin is released and it sends a signal to your brain that stop eating. Now, toxins are decreasing leptin's ability to work on the brain, which is quite a big thing. You disrupt that, you don't get the message that you're full, and then we see people that just overeat and overeat, constantly get hungry, constantly get cravings. It's quite a detrimental thing when it comes to weight loss and when it comes to absorbing the nutrients to make sure your health is optimal. Then we have your circadian rhythm being your body clock, your actual body clock that your body will work on. And organs have their own circadian rhythm as well. That when we need to digest, when we need to detoxify, when we need to create sex hormones, all these different things. Now, if toxins are impacting your circadian rhythm, they've been shown to dictate the natural cycles of cortisol and melatonin. Cortisol being the stress hormone, we want to make sure that cortisol is pretty high in the morning, that wakes us up. If you struggle with waking up without coffee, then that is definitely something which you should be looking at, what we call your cortisol awakening response, or the natural curve of cortisol, which should be going up, and then come to like midday, it's going down, and then it stays low. Some people get this flick up, and we need to look into other things if we do that. Some people have completely low, and if you are struggling with waking up in the morning, somewhere where I would start to look. Then we have melatonin, which melatonin is one of the things which the hormone which allows us to get to sleep. And that's produced around 5 to 6 hours. It starts to reach its push towards reaching a peak before you actually go to sleep. So we have this, and it's inversely related. So cortisol is high, melatonin will be low. Melatonin's high, cortisol will be low. Now, toxins are shown to disrupt your cortisol and melatonin levels throughout the day and night. And if you disrupt sleep, as I've said earlier, you risk a lot of weight gain. Not just that, cardiovascular health. We see mental health decline, all these things from different exposures to light and sleep issues and all these things that happen as a result of not getting this sleep levels. We also have a thing called free radical stress. Now, free radicals are going to damage our cells and going to damage the body and regeneration of new cells and muscle tissue, all these different things. And we have to have a lot of antioxidants to get rid of these. Now, toxins show signs of excess free radical distress and damage throughout the body. And it also damages, I'm sure you've heard of a thing called mitochondria, which is in the cells, basically like the brain of our cells, that is responsible for creating energy, a thing called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Now, all chronic diseases are linked to a deficiency in ATP. So if you are having issues with your mitochondria, which is responsible for looking at creating this ATP, and the reason is because of toxins, and we get more and more toxic load on the body, is going to be a problem that goes on. It basically dictates how well our entire body is working. Then we get in directly to fat. Now, toxins, there's a bunch of toxins that are referred to as obesogens, which we can get obesogens. We can see the link right there. Toxins have been shown to increase fat storage. When tested on mice, where these mice had the exact same diet, they moved pretty much the exact same time. They were genetically very, very similar, and for the same period of time. So they had exactly the same caloric intake, the same deficit, and so on. Now, the ones that didn't get exposed to toxins, they didn't do any difference. They moved as you would normally have. There wasn't the weight gain. The ones that got exposed to toxins had severe levels of weight gain. And when we say toxins, these obesogens. And so it's something to really look at. Now, obesogens are basically shown to interfere with fat loss by decreasing the fat usage from inside of a cell. And basically, your body cannot use it effectively. Therefore, it increases fat storage. Now, if we're exposed to damaging chemicals, we don't want them going all around our body. So what happens, your body is a very clever thing. It will grab those chemicals and pull them into fat cells for storage, so they can't actually be damaging elsewhere. And your body isn't necessarily going to want to release these because you've probably got problems with your detoxification system. So if it releases these, then we're not going to be able to get them around the body and get rid of them. So we don't want to get the exposure in there and then store them in the fat cells. There's also a reverse relationship with free T3. Remember the hormone I said with the thyroid that is the one that can actually be utilized? With free T3 and your resting metabolic rate. Basically, the more exposed people are to toxins, the lower the body is able to use the free T3 and the lower their RMR, the resting metabolic rate, is. So it's very hard for people to drop weight if their RMR keeps dropping. Now, we have these exposures all the time, and we have to make sure, what are we doing that could help us? You could look at the food side of things and the food you're eating. Every year, if you search for Dirty Dozen foods or the Clean 15, you can look at foods that maybe you should have organic if you can get those organic, or clean your foods beforehand, or just go for foods that are on the Clean 15 and try and steer away from those from that Dirty Dozen. Every year, the list is actually refreshed and updated. We can also look at the detoxification systems. If we're not able to detoxify, we don't want to be going on high levels of fasting diets or doing these juice cleanses and these things where basically we release toxins from one side of the body and then reabsorb it into another side because we can't get rid of them. You can look at sauna use to help you get rid of these toxins, but the biggest thing which is going to impact you is not getting exposed to these toxins in the first place. Look at the air quality in your house. Keep a constant airflow so that all these chemicals you're exposed to in the house, we can have a constant airflow because the outside air may be a bit better than the inside air. You can get air purifiers. I've got a couple around the house that we have on most of the time. And it's surprising. One of them is in the bedroom. And when we cook in the kitchen, downstairs and like quite a way away, the toxins still, like this air quality goes lower if we're doing fried food and stuff like that. And it works on overdrive to make sure the air quality is good. Maybe I'm just a bad cook and I'm burning my food, but this is something just to be aware of. Then we look at the chemicals, the creams we put on our skin, things we put on our hair, shower gels, shampoos, conditioners, all these different things. Just don't stop using these things, but be aware of what you're doing and what we call our toxic load. And things that we are eating, the processing of foods, things that you're putting into your body, alcohol, the stress you're putting onto your system with stimulants, if you're going for boosters and things like that, all of these are going to have a toxic load on your body. So just try your best to improve these things. And if you are struggling with your detoxification systems and the toxic load on your body, meaning that you're getting brain fog, meaning that you're just constantly feeling run down, getting sick, maybe you struggle with losing weight. then go to www.ojayhealth.com/brain fog blitz. It's a 21-day brain fog blitz for just $97. Now, in this, you're going to be able to get multiple videos. There's like 6 videos on week 1, 6 on week 2, 4 on week 3. Then there's PDFs talking about your morning routine, your evening routine, great foods to take out and put in, and swaps that we can have in there, how to look at your stress levels and how to improve them, our perceptions, what exercise we need to do. It's everything you need to really get on top of your health. And in 21 days, start developing these habits that you can continue and start to see those improvements. If you have any questions on this stuff, you know exactly where I am. Or if you actually want to skip that 21-day brain fog blitz and you want to talk further about one-to-one coaching, drop me a message. Go to www.ojhealth.com/contact and you can get in touch with me, and we will book in a time to grab a virtual coffee and just see what we can do to help improve your health. Thank you for watching or listening wherever you are.